But I think a lot of times in these spaces, a lot of times men are saying date older women so you can make them do this and that. And when they're saying that, like, a lot of times these are girls' experiences. I remember being in high school, being 16, 17, and well, I graduated when I was 17. Like in that age, actually, I say even from my freshman year, from being 14 on up to 17, where there were men who were in their 20s hanging out at the high school during lunchtime because we had open campus, so we were able to leave campus and go to lunch. They would be there after school, the same, just trying to pull high school girls. And you can't tell me that that's because they were trying to get married. They weren't.
Now those men for sure are predators. Right, let's just call it what it is. If you're in your 20s and you're at hanging out at a high school, you're a predator. Period. Now, me personally, I don't think that there's anything necessarily wrong with an older gentleman going after a 22, 23-year-old. And I'm sure most men would agree with this. But when you do, or if you do find a woman that young, then it's easier in most cases to go through the relationship. Just how they in most cases with older women, through the experiences that they have had, they'll put up whatever type of walls out of fear of what may happen, or they may have whatever bad habits, or whatever the case may be. So I think that for some men, if they have good intentions, that I don't think that there's necessarily an issue from it. And just with, I don't know what the age difference is with you and your husband, but I mean, there are situations where it works out perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? There's no issue. So I think that it depends on the level of maturity of both parties. Me personally, when I was younger, I was more so into older women, but that was because I was always around older people, and I didn't want to deal with the things that the younger women were necessarily, doing and what they was on. So I think that it all depends on the level of maturity of both parties, as to where it's kind of like, the age thing is, as long as they're legal and you're not doing something super bogus, I don't think that is necessarily an issue personally.
So would you say 18 and the other person is 27 or 28?
I would say that that's definitely pushing it for sure. I would say that that's pushing. If you're in your late 20s and you going after somebody that's 18, then yeah, you kind of borderline pushing it for sure. But again, I think that it depends on the level of maturity.
So one of the things I struggle with is, I know when HD was talking about ways for us to push the next generation, right? And we typically don't want to tell them, especially in this time, go out and just mess with and date as many girls as possible, right? That's not what we're trying to push at this current point, right? Would that be a fair statement, HD?
No, he was talking about finding, when we were initially talking, we was about learning who you are.
No, make another point. I just want to make sure that this is a common thought before I go through with this point. You're like, yes or no? Do you think that we are encouraging young men to mess with like a lot of women right now? Yes or no?
I would say yes. The quick answer, yes.
Okay. So the reason I struggle with that is because when I hear a lot of the situations that men find themselves in relationships, And when we like just vet, just choose better, you should just know this. A lot of it comes down to like I can categorize this and place women in different categories easily. Like it don't take long, like 3 to 5 minutes of a conversation. I'm like outfit, attitude, voice, temperament. Okay. Outfit, attitude, voice, temperament. Okay. Family history, past relationship history. But
Yep.
you don't have a subset or a sample size to choose from or pick from. You might ignore so many things that to men who dealt with women is an obvious red flag.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and like the more I talk to different people, I'm starting to realize that because some people haven't had that example, they really are out here blind, so they don't
Yeah.
know how to choose better.
Yeah.
So how do you teach that to women? Because for women, we have an added layer. We're told after the fact to vet better, to choose better, but we're in the same situation as you all, because we're also taught not to be out there dating a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the way that we're going to gain our experience, by dating different guys, meeting different guys to kind of be able to vet and categorize, if that's the way that y'all get y'all experience to know how to categorize women and say, nope, she ain't somebody that I need to be deeming as wifey material. Nope, she, smash material. As a woman, how do you develop that aptitude to learn how to determine and vet a man if you're not supposed to have dating experience? You can't have a lot of dating experience.
The
I
way
would,
you fix that,
I would say, and I always say this: you learn life from the living. So if you need to be around people that have that experience, or even just be aware of what's going on in your surroundings. I think that that's a easy way of how to figure that out.
But you say that's easy, but I'm thinking about the typical African American household, right? If you're raised by a single mom, right? So you don't have the living example in your household, right? So you have to look for that example outside your household.
Right.
So if she can't be my example, I don't have my dad in the picture to help guide me in that regard when it comes to other men. My mom doesn't go to church. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not put in a situation where I'm around enough credible people that I can observe this. The only observation I have is in my immediate area, which are not good examples.
I mean, well, you got to do your due diligence to get around that.
Well, how would I know to do that at 15, 16, 17? I wouldn't know because I have nothing to compare it to. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's where mostly a lot of men and women, boys and girls, I'll say, are in that situation where they don't have, unless you play sports. So I think a lot of guys are able to be around other men because they see coaches and stuff like that that may be able to give them a level of guidance.
So
Whereas girls
I-
may not, they, hit or miss in terms of them joining sports to get that guidance.